Hello everyone, welcome back to Positron Plays Illusion of Gaia. Here we are in Edward Castle to deliver a ring that we don't have. Oh, that was not the correct button. King Edward is having breakfast, wait a while, then enter. Oh, okay. Actually, don't ever remember seeing that little bit of dialogue. Yeah, recently a hunter was hired. By hunter, they actually mean assassin. We have a red jewel back here. Don't raise your voice, mind your manners. In exchange, I'll give you a red jewel. Okay. I think he gave it to us. Yeah. So let's equip that and then use it. There, and it'll go straight to Gem the Jeweler. It's an underground prison. Innocent people can't enter. Foreshadowing. The maid tells us to be careful with King Edward. We have a little soldier love here. He's shy. This is kind of an odd translation, I think. I'm glad that somewhere in the world there is someone who is thinking of me. I think maybe he's thinking this and not actually saying it. Strangers can't enter the princess's room. Hi, Kara. This is just a shabby boy. People love calling Will shabby. She recognizes her voice. Let him in or I'll tell everyone your old nickname. So we're telling her why we're here. She realizes that the king is up to no good. Yeah, again, the famous hunter is not a hunter, it's more of an assassin or a bounty hunter, I suppose. Kara feels that her mother and father have changed. She wants someone to save her. Yeah, we'll come back for you. Don't worry. I believe if we talk to him, yeah, he'll push us down the hall. Well, let's go see if the king is finished having breakfast. I mean, I can see the king from here. Hello, Queen. Edward and Edwina. It's kind of strange, isn't it? You look so shabby. You know, with the shabby business. Come on now. No. Yeah, I did. Good and honest lad. Yeah, I don't have it. I lied. Immediately says we're lying and wants to throw us in the prison. They're gonna go to our house and find the ring. We don't have it. Will calls out to the queen. Apparently ma'am is an insult. Well, remember that prison our grandfather built? We're getting a tour of it. I wonder why I have to suffer so. Poor Will. Well, this is kind of a thing that I think some people got stuck on, um, because it involves kind of just poking around. We have some moss here. It's he paints a very grim picture of the scenario, which I mean, you know, it's a prison. Oh, we could look at the chains on the wall. Maybe not. Wow, now that we've done all that, I mean, is that it for us? Are we just done here forever? Not quite. What we actually have to do is just kind of like wait. As far as I know, there's no way to speed this up. You just need to take some time and wait, and eventually, yeah. Today's ration of bread, even moss drinks water. I believe the implication there, through the odd translation, is that we're not going to get any water. Bread's the worst thing he's ever tasted. Missing Lola's cuisine. Yeah, I believe the implication there is they're not going to give us any water, and just kind of taunting us that, you know, the moss will thrive, but we will not. Will having a bit of an existential crisis here. And while he's sleeping, he's hearing voices from his flute. This is your father. Thank you, Flute Dad. Of course, we have to mention Grandma Lola's pie. Now, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be magical or a dream or hallucination, but the mention of the pie makes me think that it's kind of a dream state. It's something to ask of us. Tells us to look at the left-hand wall. Well, here's a gem, and we can actually grab that with our telekinesis. Apparently our grandfather knows all about those crystals. Blue Dad tells us starting now we will encounter a terrible thing. Power of crystal is contained within those gems. And we get our quest here. Must make a pilgrimage to the ruins of the world to find the mystic statues. The closer you get to the crystal, the stronger the evil power will be. And we must head to the Incan ruins. Well, that was an experience. Now you'll see there are 6 pillars surrounding our inventory, and that is actually representative of the 6 mystic statues we will have to collect. Hamlet, is that you? Hey, pal. I mean, if it's not Kara's pig, I don't know who else has a pig around here. There's a letter and a key tied to the tail. Sorry to hear that you're in prison. Oh, thanks. Kara is in a prison of silk and gold. But she's gonna escape. And anytime we get an important item, we get this very slow text crawl and fanfare. We have the key. Alright, let's get the hell out of here. Although, I guess we actually have to use said key. Alright. Hey, how about this guy? Hey, buddy, you're free. I mean, alright. I mean, but, you know, like, the door's open. Whatever. Alright, we have a dark space. Just hanging out here in the prison. When you defeat all enemies in an area, you will get a jewel that increases your abilities. And we can have a compass of the enemies as well. So that is the method of leveling up in this game. You don't gain experience like you did in Soul Blazer. It's just based on defeating enemies as a whole. If you clear an entire room of enemies, you'll get a statistical upgrade. What's also interesting to note is if you miss any of them, when you defeat the boss of an area, you will get all the stats that you missed. So if you're not into killing every last enemy, then you can get them that way. I think that there are no red jewels here. I think there are 2 in the upcoming dungeon. Also, the DP at the top, I don't actually remember what that stands for. Dark Power it must stand for. Every time we collect 100 of those gems, we get an extra life. If we die with a life, then we just go back to a checkpoint. But if we die without a life, we have to go back to our last save. So we can move in all 8 directions. We're not stuck on a grid like we were in Soul Blazer. Attack with our flute. Here we go. We get a health upgrade for defeating all the enemies in this room. And Will is reiterating that for us. So right now we only have a very basic attack. However, if we attack and then press the direction in which we attacked, we do this lunge. You don't have to press the attack button again, you just press the direction. And the lunge slash, I believe, does more damage, does double damage. In fact, let's see if we can find that out. Yeah, it does double damage, or at least it does 1 additional point of damage. So you can get some good combos with the slashing. Also, there is knockback in this game, and if you knock an enemy into another enemy, sometimes they will take damage. This will come into play more later as well. It's a surprisingly simple combat system, considering that we have a lot of buttons to potentially work with. Alright, that kind of crystal or gem or whatever you want to call it will open the way. See here on the pause screen, I'm not sure what the force thing is, if that's just saying that there are enemies left, but we can see the number of enemies, a rough location of where they are, and if there are any treasure chests here. We don't get a map, we just get a compass. Essentially is what it comes down to. Now, I don't really intend to die, but I will be collecting the gems anyway, just in case. Yeah, so you can see that lunge is actually very, very powerful. You can actually dodge some attacks with it as well, where you can kind of jump over them. Get a point of strength, so it increases our damage. And we've cleared all enemies in the room. And that force thing went away, so I'm pretty sure that is just indicating, you know, there are enemies here. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that little dandelion puff just talked to us. Move these statues out of the way. Right now, I don't believe dashing does anything. Let's find out more definitively. Oh. Oh yeah, I guess we can attack while dashing, but it doesn't do any additional damage. And I believe the seed there was just telling us to follow. Again, I apologize if I actually accidentally skip over any dialogue, especially when you're moving around. Something that I saw pointed out to me at one point is that it's hard to catch it, but when the enemies explode, there's actually like a skull in the explosion, which is kind of crazy. Interesting detail. Alright, we have a switch here. Hit the switch, it'll move these spike balls. And we have a treasure chest. We get an herb. Yeah, an herb will restore our life. See if we can one-shot those bats now with the lunge slash. If we lunge slash, well, that was actually a good example of a couple of things. One is that the lunge slash will make us bounce off of walls. But two is that we actually lunge slashed over that that fireball. There we go. Get a point of defense here. And this area is clear. I believe there are 2 red gems in here. Red jewels, rather. Also, you can hear the music is the standard combat theme or panic theme. But major dungeons beyond this one will have their own unique themes, which is a nice touch. You can get hit by those, but it's actually kind of hard to. They will block your way. Oh, there you go. Actually, I did get hit by that one. That there was just saying that, yeah. Won't go in, maybe it's rusty. Well, how the hell did we do that then? The answer is pretty simple. You can see that there's a jump spot just above it. All we need to do is apply a little extra force. And in here we have a treasure chest. Contains a red jewel. Now, I believe an herb only restores something like 6 health. If every one of our little health bubbles is 2 health, so it only restores 3 of those. You defeat enemies, a shiny silver dark gem will appear. Like 100 of these, you gain a life. Thanks, Spirit. Alright, we have more damaging bat, but they kind of all just line up for us, so very easy. Another important thing is that when we get an HP upgrade, it actually fully refills our health. Very, very useful. We have a switch here that doesn't do anything, but we saw a little dancing flower reminiscent of the ones from Soul Blazer. Try playing the flute, if you insist. The voice is telling us go to the right-hand wall, where we're going to engage in a puzzle from Final Fantasy VII. Of course, this obviously came years before. We have to push the switch on the count of 3. Don't make a mistake. Oh, the pressure. There we go. The door is open. And we have more dungeon. Well, there's a switch back here, but we can't reach it. What the hell are we supposed to do with that? We'll find out pretty soon. There was a good example. You saw I hit that bat into the skeleton, and the skeleton took damage from it. So there's a little bit of like physics at work here, which is kind of interesting. Alright, we have a lot of these serpents, but they're pretty easy. And those just shot in the entirely wrong direction there. I don't know if the gems hang around indefinitely. but they hang around for much longer than they did in Soul Blazer. And we have a new statue in the dark space. Your shape is only temporary. Try standing in front of the statue next to you. Which it introduces one of the major mechanics in the game. This is Frieden. So we are not only limited to being Will in his current form, but we can also transform into the Dark Knight Frieden. Now, Frieden doesn't have the lunge slash, but he has a much longer attack range, and he does significantly more damage. And he looks cool as hell. So now we can reach that switch. You can see even our base attack does 3 damage now. We can also block, can hold our sword out and do the same telekinesis that Will can. We have this brown skeleton here. Has higher defense. And the head comes after us as well. Pretty easy though. Enemies get stuck in hit stun quite a bit. Kind of an important tool. Again, you saw the knockback there doing some damage. Frieden's extra damage comes into play later on. What's interesting is that bosses always take the same amount of damage. Will always do 1 damage with his basic attacks, and Frieden will always do 2. So while it's not always the best idea to fight with Frieden, he's definitely significantly more powerful. In this chest we get another red jewel. I believe there's one more in this area. Take care of this skeleton. It's trying to get away from me. There we go. And we get another point in defense, which is always nice. No enemies left here. I can't remember if we have a stats condition, yeah. So we have 2 strength, 2 defense right now. And 10 HP. When the enemies are destroyed, Will can return to his original shape. So yeah, we'll automatically transform at the end of a dungeon. Now, what's interesting is there's a red jewel in this container, or is it maybe this one? But we can only get it from this side. Very sneaky. Oh, hello. So this girl saw us transform. And she can also transform. This is Lily. She's protected by the flower spirit from Ittery Village. And she's confused because the melody we play could only have been heard from someone from the village. Apparently Lily has had some of Grandma's pie. And Grandma told us to have Lily come rescue us. I like Lily, she's a good character. And that strange sound is apparently the Elder calling her. So back to a little seedling she goes. Here we are back in Edward Castle. And I think that will do it for now. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen pretty soon, so I will pause here for now. I think there's a red jewel in here, but now I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, we will continue next time. So thanks for watching. I will see you soon.